merci pour le thé.
De rien.
Ta barbasse en image de strip, c'est cool.
Oui, je ne sais pas pourquoi je n'ai pas... j'ai le volume, mais bon.
Et du coup, t'as...
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me? Oh, good. So this time the... Okay. This time it seems the delay is quite reduced. So first this, not this. There we go. That probably is a better way to do this. I don't know it.
Le son était gênant. Tu veux que je mette les écouteurs?
Just wait a second.
Pardon.
I have no idea. It's supposed to be a collaborative speedlang, so really, you tell me what the plan is. Okay, that's good. That's alright. I'll just delete that. No, we were not done at all. Why? Did you want to work on something else? Sure. Alright, what do you want to work on? Because verb and noun flexion is a bit vague. Well, good thing this is not LaTeX, so... brief summary. This is supposed to be the language of the Yalonda people. Oh. Oh, is it? I'll check that. Nominal number. Nominal number. Kulu. Oh, yeah, it is. I think that was with the other system, a former version. So, it's the language of the Yalonda people, who live on an island and whose name translates to Sons of the Boat. They have boats because they are on an island. They are religious, presumably have several gods, with at least one father god, boat father. Magic kind of exists, and they do not eat the flesh of birds. They speak a language with those phonemes. I'm not going to pronounce all of them. I'm leaving you a few seconds to take it all in because it's a lot. And it's written with this garbage. Yeah, the orthography is a mess. Then we have 4 cases indicated by an article. The technical... I don't know. I mean, it's really up to us, so we haven't defined that at all. But we can go from very Stone Agey to not very Stone Age. Now, do they have things like bronze or iron? I'm going to open that because apparently we use that a lot. We did say something about them having access to some kind of metalworking, but I think that's it. If you have other options for me to add to the poll, just tell me. I'm going to leave you a minute, just because of the potential delay. I mean, if we check other and it wins, and every other proposition is something different, I think that skews it a bit. Look, it would indicate that you don't want any other three. Who voted that? Oh, okay. I was curious if it would be Char. It says 6 viewers, including me, so 2 votes remaining. I gotcha. Alright, I don't think we are going to get many more votes. People who are watching without voting, please vote. I mean, most of this is coming from a conlanging server, so it's not really surprising. See, I was going to vote world building because I wanted to vote last, not to not influence the other votes. But now I feel like I would be a pain. Hi, Sam. Do you want the link again? Your vote might be decisive. No, don't worry, Sam. That's alright. Maybe it's just not refreshing. No, that's not it. Ah, okay, so grammar it is. I can't close poll, right? No, I can't. Oh, okay, what's the grammar like? I'm going to do this again. So, phonology doesn't matter. It's pronounced. It's a spoken language. So, cases are marked by an article. The vowel mutates for each case. A, I, U forms a nice triangle. Not really, I mean, kinda. Those cases are ergative, absolutive, genitive, and benefactive causative. The causative is going to encompass a bit more than just benefactive or just causative. Nouns are plural by default and take a modifier on the article, which would likely mean that the article is mandatory. We haven't determined that yet, and that's about it. We meant for the verbs to have a present, non-present distinction, wherein the perfective would be used for the past and irrealis for the future. Oh yeah, and verbs are marked for polypersonal agreements. That we only defined that they had polypersonal agreement. We did not decide it was for the subject and direct objects. Yeah, flying house and hen in the garden or in the pie. So that's about it. So how do you want to proceed? We haven't even decided on a word order. Which form of what? Well, we don't really have to define the persons first. It's pretty clear that we at least need three. That we could do speaker, non-speaker, or listener, non-listener. Well, technically, the label present, non-present implies that the present is marked and non-present is not marked. Which I would actually prefer because non-present applies to two things and present to one too. Well, actually, Alan and I had an idea just after the first stream, I think, or just before the second stream, I don't remember, about word order. I wanted something that, and he wanted that too, that felt kind of familiar because this stream is not intended for hardcore conlangers, it's intended for absolutely everyone. So I don't want to overcomplicate things. So I'm not sure I want something based purely on animacy, but I was thinking a V2 word order with the S and the O going around the V, based on their animacy, with the most animate being first. It would play nicely with like antipassives, where we could just rotate S and O. What do you mean vowel first? As in, any word with a vowel starts a sentence? How exactly would that work? Oh, is that a typo? Did you mean verb? Yeah. It's okay, words can't hear today. Alright, how are we going to organize this? I'm kind of partial to putting the basic syntax thing before the nominal phrase and everything. So just after the phonology. Do I call it word order or basic syntax? Or anything else? I mean, I could do the stream in French. I don't know, would it? I mean, we have, what, at least 3 French speakers? Alright, basic syntax it is. Well, just learn French. I think you forgot the parents. I wouldn't say it's that complex. I mean, it's no more complex than... you know the spiel. No, it's not. You just can spell. I hope you didn't get... Oh yeah, I was going to go with pivot, but yeah. Actually... I think that's nice. Would you really? I don't know, they can move. And you can actually move them around to... Well, you could probably move them around. That's phonetics, not phonology. And I would still use articulate because you can actually move them around in order to maybe we could decide on that. Influence how animate they seem. I could use fall instead of lands here. I mean, just like last time, I'm going to be rewriting the document anyway. Slightly. Just for better wording and consistency. And as Charizard says, it's mostly because it can move like an action figure. So that's basic word order. Yeah, we don't need to. It's really just to have a broad idea of what I could rewrite it as, just to have the idea there, without having necessarily the greatest wording. And you do not know it from, like, joints. Isn't articulation used for the joints of the body? Maybe that's more of an American thing? I'm not sure. That's also an explanation I'm willing to take. Okay, so at least I'm not insane. I did remember that it was used that way. Anyway, what other basic syntax do we need to establish? I would say the order of adjectives, adverbs if we have them. We could play with syntax and with word order instead of morphology to have adjectives and adverbs be distinct in some way. Adjective after the noun, sure. Any objections? Actually, I think I'm going to make a suggestions doc and give it free editing permissions for everyone. What is that title? What do you mean? What title? I mean, yeah, basic syntax is fairly easy to understand, I think. Yeah, what's wrong with it? There was indeed. I mean, honestly, I would have voted for word order, but since we really are only talking about that right now. I mean, if you don't actually state what your qualms are with the title, I cannot address them. No, I was saying I was going to make a collaborative doc or something where everyone can put ideas for the language. Probably going to make it into a form. I have no idea how to word that. I'm going to make it that way. This. And I think I already had a form with that kind of question. Yep. So, Bills, what are your qualms with the title? It's a working, not that it's a working title, it's what we are doing in it right now. Yeah, I can, but do I really? Do I really want to? How do I even do it? I don't remember. Oh yeah, import. I swear. There we go. Okay, it's a bit faster. Oh yeah, that's going to be very useful. Both of those. Here you go. You can always put your ideas... Oh. Hang on before filling it. Now that should be good. Yep. Nope, it's not. Still not? Oh, that's because I entered it this way. I can computer. There we go. Now it should be good. Yep. Responses? No. Not now. I'm going to put it Discord. I think I put it there. Perfect. There we go. That's always accessible. Alright, so, we're saying. I think that Biz is not going to come back to explain. There. Mix of the two worlds. Not the best, but it's something. Okay, so Oh, hey, an 8th viewer. Nice. So, adjectives follow the noun. How close do they follow the nouns? Or rather, how close should they? Have I dropped frame rates or like a delay? Something? Hi, Maddie. So we are just on basic word order and everything. The question is how close should the adjectives be from the noun? Can they be separated from it? Had I mentioned agreement by animacy? Like, you would like to mark animacy. Well, that's the thing. We don't know yet, Maddie. There also isn't marked animacy. Not that it can't be, but we don't have that right now. We could add that to what's marked on the noun phrase. Well, Bills, isn't the sequencing of SVO typically put in a syntax? I mean, I guess in most generative models of syntax, yes, they do, but they still have an inner working that is relevant to that syntactic function. Yeah, I understand that, but I said that classes still have an inner working that is relevant to the sentence. But you don't necessarily order two classes the same way if they don't have the same function, syntactically speaking. I mean, I get your point, I just don't think it's necessary to distinguish that right now. But this is really about working title, which everyone understands as basic syntax. SVO is for most people basic syntax. because I asked for the input of the chart, and it's true that I didn't really propose like basic syntactic typology as a title, which would probably have been better. So Sam and Luke and Cha, yeah, we could do that. But how do we mark animacy then? Because right now animacy would be marked for at least the S and the O as word order. Oh, existential likeness could probably go at the bottom. Oh, actually that's a good one. Some adjective only applied to animated or inanimate stuff. But then how do we mark for something that, let's say both S and O are animate or inanimate. They're just in the same state. How do we mark the difference between the two? Yeah, for basic adjectives, maybe of color or... I mean, we could have degrees of animacy and not just have that be a binary state. I mean, yeah, I'm for that. I don't mind. I mean, I have to be able to cancel the document. So yeah, I mean, the question remains: if we are going to mark, well, to separate adjectives and order them by animacy, we need some way to not leave it up entirely to context. If we have the sentence with he gives him the book, or better yet, he hits him, and we put adjectives on both he and him, we do not really have a difference in animacy. But maybe we could use volition or on top of that. I'm really not a fan of harmonizing between words. Especially over such long distance. It really doesn't feel very natural to me. Naturalistic. Whatever word is better in that context. I mean, I would be okay with several degrees of animacy that are optionally marked, but harmony is a bit too much. Hi, Terax. So, quick summary of what we've done today. Quite nothing. We have defined some very basic word order, and we are working on maybe implementing some type of animacy marking. By the way, Terax, who are you on the Discord? I don't recognize your username. I mean, just because it exists in one language does not mean it's naturalistic. Oh, okay. I mean, my first guess was that you were Harrison, but I'm not sure because Harrison said they weren't able to watch the streams. Yeah, but then we ran into the problem where why not just have them near their noun? Because the particle would just say, hey, this is instead of the noun. I mean, another way to do it would be to just mark them for the case. Well, do you really want that, Marty? Yeah. Case is much simpler, because at least it's not the fucking clitic. Actually, we could have circumclitics. No, that's a bit convoluted. I was thinking a circumclitic that begins and ends the series of adjectives that relate to one of the S or the O. But that seems a bit over the top. Like, how do I... Like this, I guess. Just imagine that there is a clause before it, that is SVO, and then we have all the adjectives at the end. And it would be, I don't know, let's go with so for the S and O for the object, the O. So every adjective between the two so would be for the subject, and every adjective between the two o would be for the object. Of course, the clitics themselves do not need be that simple. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's exactly that actually. It's silly and I'm really not a fan. Yeah, that was the first proposition. Well, the first that wasn't just tag them on after the noun. I think I'm going to keep just adjectives follow the noun and that's it. For now, at least. Maybe we'll have some fancy optional marking later. We don't need to. It's a command, we don't need anything. Yeah, for poetry we could coin a system that allows for that. But for now, let's just keep it simple and start working on enabling forming sentences. How did ancient Greek do it? I don't remember. Yeah, that's what I thought I understood, but I wasn't sure. But I'm not a fan of having free word order, even though the case is kind of allow for some free form word order. Yeah, I think we're just going to go with adjectives go after the noun, because that way we can have the noun phrase act as a single unit syntactically. So, do we still want to mark for animacy? Do we want any kind of agreement of the adjective? Case agreement is always nice because at least it's easy, but in this case it's not, because we have our cases marked by an article. So do we have the article over and over? Yeah, but doesn't that get a bit repetitive? If we have... just imagine that we have a non-plural noun with its adjectives. We have to put this article, that is 2 syllables, before every adjective. Even then, if it's only before the noun and before the series of adjectives, it's still a bit of a pain. And use the existential likeliness as a... How would you define that, actually? Would that be modality on a 0 copula? Article, yeah, optional article seems nice. We are in the noun phrases, yeah. I'm going to put that here and have adjective. Actually, I'm going to put it there. Adjectives as its own little thing, as its own chapter. Yeah, I'm going to take that ID, Maddie. And I'm not sure. I would like Marty Kuran to look at your ID, Charizard. Because he's the one who's at the origin of existential likeliness being a thing in the first place. Sure. Okay, so I think we should now work on verbs, just so we... Yes, Terax, that's exactly it. So I think we should work on verbs because that way we can start making example sentences. I think it would be nice. And we really do not have anything on verbs. Yeah, does anyone have some neat ideas? Oh, neat. Well, yeah, but that's not exactly basic function for the verbs. I'd like to focus on just having a basic verb system for now. But yeah, particles inflecting for modalities isn't the right idea. Maybe a different thing. If you have I want a house exists, red not exists. Yeah, I think that's a bit too fine for now. But I'm keeping the idea. I'm going to copy that and comment it out. There we go. So, verbs. How do we do that? We have verbs. That's the thing. Do you remember tense aspect entangling? No, I did not dislike that. It was quite the opposite. Yeah, probably. I mean, ambitransitive verbs, yeah, sure. I don't mind. But then I feel like that's more lexical than, well, for now at least. Just saying ambitransitive verbs exist is not really what I'm looking for right now. I'm really looking more for how do we do this? Like, not what do we do, but how do we do what we have already decided upon? Marty might not respond right now because he's currently explaining something else in another server. So anyway, how do we do that? We have present, non-present, but how do we distinguish that? We have perfective, imperfective, how do we distinguish that? On Discord he would be Matikuran, same name. Though I'm not sure he's on the CDN. No, he's not. So, who... that doesn't answer my questions. Well, yeah, that's the interest of having only present and non-present. We just have present for things that are present, and the rest is up to the aspects and modalities. Moods, I guess. Or at least that's how I see it. Okay, so for now I'm going to go with the label, because present, non-present kind of implies that it kind of implies that present is the default and that non-present is marked, because that's some sort of opposition. So I'm going to go with that label and describe it that way. Or do we just mark everything? We have a form that is a base lexical form, maybe a root, and we add to it to mark for present, non-present, perfective, imperfective, and we could do all of the combos that way. At least all of the combos of tense and aspects. So that would mean we need more aspects. Alright, let's go with more aspects. What do you want to add? We could mark for telicity. Incoative, ingressive, yeah. I'm just going to put the Wikipedia definitions for those, at least to give everyone watching the same idea, and then we'll define them better. I mean, ingressive is just incoative, so... I'm just going to pull out the definitions for most of them. Tentative aspect, I mean, it's fairly explicit, but I'm still going to pull up that. No. Yeah. Yeah, so I like the iterative aspect because it ties in with stylistic. And we could also have some action art because it's fun. But I don't know how much of that we want. Not really. It's that something was done several times in one iteration of it. Like, if you cough, you're unlikely to cough just once. You generally go not just so that would be simulfactive. Basically, it's several times on one instance, in one instant, in one time unit. Hi, ironic. Incoative is something that begins. Here's the definition if you like. Yeah. I'm not really a fan of incoative. We're working on verbs right now. I guess some. I mean, that's kind of a morbid take on it, but yeah. It is an example. So I've seen multiple people say yes for the iterative aspect. So what do we want to contrast it? And if yes, with what? Assuming we have a bare root lexical form or something without any markings whatsoever, and possibly without implied aspects or terminative with. Do you want to contrast iterative with terminative? That seems a bit weird, but why not? Or did you mean with incoative? Oh yeah, I'm really not a fan of incoative or terminative. And if multiple people want that, I don't mind. How do you mean, Marty? Well, yeah, but it's a good example of what an iterative is. I'm not even sure there is an if for that. I would just say punctual. But it can be iterative and punctual. That's a good one actually. What's the opposite of iterative? Yeah, I mean, we do not need to contrast it with anything, really. It's just, do we want the absence of marking to mean anything other than it's not iterative? It could be perfectly fine not to want that, because we want to have present, non-present, and the aspects to mesh. No to what? We do not want to have that contrast with anything. Yeah, okay. So we do want some kind of iterative simulfactive something. That means something happens multiple times over a single action. For instance, he stabbed, and we could have some kind of marking that means someone stabbed someone else multiple times instead of just once. How's that for a morbid example, Sam? Stabbed, yeah, not stopped. The stabby thing with a knife. You go pokey pokey in someone and it makes holes. And then the red water flows out. Oh, the example was quite simple, Sam. It was just he stabbed. Iterative, he stabbed multiple times the same person. Versus he stabbed not iterative. He just stabbed someone once. Or we could just make the default to be unknown instead of not iterative explicitly. I mean, to poke violently would be multiple words, I would guess. Unless we actually do have one verb for that. And then we, like, reduplicate it or something. To poke very violently. Alright, so let's first define the verb forms, like on the bare minimum. What do we want them to be like? To poke dash evil. Okay, so base forms of verbs. What are they like? Do they look like anything peculiar morphophonologically? What's peculiar about our verbs? Okay, I am fully against that. I don't know if you can hear anything behind me, but if you do hear someone scream, it's because my girlfriend died playing Minecraft. But that's a question I've been asking for the past 15 minutes, ironic. It's still the question I've been asking. What are our base forms like? Do they have anything peculiar? If not, I could just decide, but that's no fun, and really not the purpose of the stream. Hi, Andy. Who are you? Who are you on the Discord server? Oh, so we would have verbal groups. That's fine. Yeah, compulsory endings are not really my thing. However, I would go for something of a compulsory structure. Well, instead of having always the same ending, say, the same vowel every time, we could go for always ends or always starts with a CV syllable. Oh, hi, Yatum. How would you even pronounce that in English? Yatum? Yatum? Welcome back, Terax. Well, with the conjugation, we are still trying to decide what our base forms would be like. If they have some compulsory ending or compulsory structure, or absolutely nothing morphophonologically distinct. Yeah, first syllable is nice, but it's hardly unusual. We could have them begin with exactly the same syllable, because they're verbs, and we can. I'm not sure how much I like that. Yeah, it kind of is. But do feel free to like propose anything that could actually fit and you wouldn't find boring or cliche. Well, something like every verb ends in O. Or rather for Yalonda, in O. Having always the same ending for every verbal stem. Yeah, I know, it's boring, it's done by every fucking conlang. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but if this ending has a purpose, then is it really just the base form? Oh, yeah, so we could do like upload to conjugate. Yeah, I mean, Marty has a point. Yeah, so our stems would not have any defined structure, but we could have an ending that is always the same, such as, I don't know, in French, virtually every verb ends the same way, with this ending being the infinitive. No, nothing big, Rum. We're still trying to decide on the basics of the verbal system. What do you mean verifying ending? Yeah, I suggested that. The syllable structure thing. Yes, it does, and that's what I'm fine with. If the ending is actually subject to change and does not always remain indicating, hey, I'm a verb, then I'm perfectly fine with that. Verbifying ending, yeah, that's what we're trying to avoid, kind of. Something that does not automatically say, hey, I'm a verb. Thank you, Andiv. That would be over 2 syllables then. I think... Yeah, I mean, that's just Dora the Explorer with the map, but... And Dora the Explorer is really fucking annoying. Yeah, so I still like the idea of the syllable structure. Not necessarily, no, because if you have an ending that can just be dropped or changed, like in French verbs, the infinitive marker for the verbs of the first group, which is just the suffix e, can be dropped to form other tenses or other conjugations. Just anarchy is... It feels lazy, even though it's not really what's done in European languages. It still feels lazy. The English kind of does it. Yeah, kind of, yeah. There's not really something necessary to include on the verb. Like, we could have an item, a lexical item, that would just be this is this action, without any information about how it's done, when it's done. No, naturally, look at English. It doesn't really have a system for how to form the basic verbs. Like, you cannot find a morphophonological pattern in English verbs, I don't think. Okay, so we want some... actually, I'm going to pull that again. Here's a poll. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I'm back. That's a vote room. Okay, so dictionary forms are going to be marked for something. Not. What should that be? Oh. Okay. So what should that marking be? Do I need another straw poll, actually? I didn't have something that specific in mind, but that works. Third person perfective, that means that it's not marked for tense, so it's probably present. So it would be like a third person past. Oh, actually, let's first define the persons, because, or well, not the persons, but just whether or not we do have something like an impersonal construction, or like un in French or they in English. Because I would like, if we do have that, I would like it to be in the dictionary form of the verb. Oh yeah, that's not non-present. Present perfective would likely be... No, infinitive forms are not specifically for the dictionary, no. Yeah, it's generally just a simpler ending. And what can be built... For instance, in French verbs, the infinitive is the base dictionary form, because for instance the verb chanter, chanter, you can either chop off the ending er, or you can build up on it to form the future. So it's articulated kind of around it. That's why it's the dictionary form. And in English, the two form... Yeah, thank you, Marty. That's the verb chanter, which I was talking about. And yeah, and then chanterai. Yeah, for the future. And in English, the two forms are just there because why not? Or at least I'm not aware of any good reason for that. I mean, it's the form upon which most verbs build their past participles and their third person endings. To sing, he sings. You just add the S. Okay, so it would be the third person, so third person would be almost unmarked. Perfective would mean that it's unmarked perfective. No, it's marked perfective. Marty, when you say present third person perfective, are you sure you do not mean third person imperfective? Because the perfective is the marked one. Or do we actually consider the perfective, which is marked, to be the default form? And then chopping it off would be the one that gives the imperfective. Okay, so you did mean imperfective, but you did intend to have the unmarked one. Oh. So what would it be then? Because something that is minimally marked but still has meaning. It would mean that it's present, that's for sure. Rire. It's... Well, I mean, because the French R is very different from the English one. Probably. So... So the verb base form would be present imperfective and realis, probably, since the irrealis is used along the non-present tense to signify an action that is future, as per this section. So I'm assuming that realis is not marked. Have fun, Yaten. Hi, Atiman. I always want to call you Autumn. Yeah, I guess. I mean, you have almost all the correct letters. And you do have all of them, just two N's for some reason. Not sure why. You don't need it. Yeah, I was just going to call you 80, because ATM makes you sound like a machine. Look at Mr. Very Funny. So anyway, verb base forms would be minimally marked, but present, perfective, and realis, because those are... Oh, that's fair. The present, imperfective, and realis, because those are not marked. So that would be it. Now we'll have to decide how we mark the others. Yeah. We also have to decide how we mark for person, because if we are going to mark for that, we are going to want to... Well, we don't have that in the verb, so that's an indication that it's not conjugated. So how do you want to do this? Hey Cha, why don't you just change your Twitch name right now? Because you've been saying that you should do that for the past streams. Oh. Well, that's too bad. Attempt to recovery, I guess. Alright, so I want something to define present non-present. Present being unmarked. How do we mark the non-present? Let's take a verb that we have, te to navigate, and conjugate it, and then we can go with ra. Why can you be any help about? And why can't you be any help about verbs? Oh, and there was a suggestion about verbal groups. um, well, we kind of decided that well, not decided, but a majority of people seem to not want to have a very well-based structure, but let's say that we do have a structure, actually. I think Terax had one proposed. I just have to find it. CVCC. That's not a syllable structure, that's a word structure. I'm going to go with that for now. I mean, that's perfectly fine to not have the terminology. You can have the ideas without having the exact word that linguistics use. That's not really a bother. The radicals are what the suffixes are going to attach to. The affixes are going to attach to. But what I do propose would be I'm going to go with that, actually. And this is optional. Oh, well, if you lost motivation to work on the language just because of the verbs, just don't work on the verbs. Or just do something extremely simple to start with, and then as you use it, just complicate it more and more. What? That was supposed to be disabled. I'm sorry, but what? Yeah, it's not supposed to be. You're not going to see that. Yep, that's good. Go to dashboard. CloudBot. I think that's it. Why are you on preferences? Yeah, that's not what I said at all. Back. Okay, that's disabled. Yeah, it's weird that it's back because I did disable it. And it's also very weird that it kicked off there and not when someone else did it. Yeah, overthinking does you absolutely no good whatsoever. You just need to do something. It doesn't matter if it's good or not. At least you have something and you can work from that. Wanting something absolutely perfect right off the bat is just going to get you nowhere. Yeah, that's doable, I think. CVC, CVCV, and CVCCV. Yeah, that's exactly that. Yeah, so you would... Let's just check the verbs we do have right now. So that's te'eng, te. Yeah, that... Yeah, that's good, I think. Those are just normal syllables. Let's just not have a constraint. The normal syllable is C, C2 for continuance, V, C. This is just... This is just very useless. Let's just not have a structure. And yeah, this does not obey the structure at all. So let's just not have that. There we go. No structure. There. Well, honestly, I like the idea of having words before having something to define them. Because that way we could just have like the few words we actually coined. They're not they, typo. I'm not sure I know what you're talking about, Terax. I don't see your message. But as I was saying, I quite like having a bit of lexicon before. Oh, in the dark. Why did I... Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, let's just not have that. Yeah. Sorry, I fixed it now, I think. I'm quite prone to making typos and everything. Well, right now we're trying to define the verbal system, really. This is everything we have about the verbal system on the right in the PDF. It's not much, but it's ours. And we are trying to come up with how to do things. So what I wanted to do right now was, define verbal groups. I'm going to define some groups right now, and we'll see how they work. I'm perfectly fine with person prefixing and suffixing, yeah. I'm honestly bored of languages that suffix the person, because like that's all the languages I speak. Like, if we could just not do the Spanish hablo, hablas, habla, that would be nice, because it's really getting very, very boring, at least to me. I think those were the suggestions last time. I mean, I do speak 3. And suffix non-local, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Actually, we could prefix. We could have a local and non-local distinction. Well, not really local, non-local, but proximal and distal. Like we could have different ways to mark the person, the third person, depending on whether they're here or not. Alright, personal agreement. I'm going to go with that. Oops. That's not a problem, ironic. I'm probably going to end the stream in 10 to 15 minutes. Oh, I'm going to go with local and non-local then. That's much better. I'm going to go with that because I really like this. And how do we, or do we actually, not how, but do we at all distinguish between the numbers in this language? Or do we leave it entirely to the nouns? Impersonal is like general U1 in English. No, it would be it rains. Though it could also be like one, yeah. One would think that yeah, also demi-pronouns. I think I'm going to go with both. Conflate them. It feels appropriate and it's different from all the languages I speak, so yeah. Yeah, the number is already on nouns. My question was more, should we also have it on the verbs? In any way, like, if the first person is plural, do we mark it on the verbs? Alright, that's perfect. So, no number marking. Yeah, maybe I'm putting morphological in this sentence because I might want to have some lexically plural verbs. Because like verbs like the English to charge at the enemy, that would be fun to have as a lexically plural verb because it would imply that you do not do that alone. I think the delay is mostly you. I'm not sure that everyone has it. Not to the same extent at least. Well, in this case, the crowd would be more animate than the bull, so maybe it could be some sort of passive. like the crowd is getting charged by the bull. I'm not yet. I mean, I did want to propose that earlier, but what about something that is purely animus based and it does not have a passive? Rather, no, it forces passives. Yeah, exactly. The crowd was charged out by a bull. But the crowd would be plural because it's a mass noun. And mass nouns are defined as plural. I just have to find that. Yes. I don't know yet how to properly word that. But I kind of like the idea of forcing the most animate. He charged at me is still correct. Oh, yeah, because even the reciprocal of I was charged at by him would be correct too. See, I would just use another verb, like another lexical item with the same meaning. Where one is only used when the subject is plural and the other is only used when the subject is singular or non-plural. No, I know it's not. In English. What if there were two actual verbs in that language? But yeah, it was not a very good example, but English does not have a good example of that. It's just that in the sense of a cavalry charge, you do not have a singular of that, even though it's the same lexical item in English. Well, no, because I would think that a comet would be able to scatter anything on its own. It's still one comet. See you, ironic. Yeah, that's what. Well, it's not really more that because it would just be two different verbs, where one would indeed mean run fast and aggressively, but only for one person, whereas the other one would be to run fast and aggressively, but only for several people or several subjects. To regroup, no, I'm not sure because I can regroup sheep and I can regroup with my friends. So as I said, I don't think English has a good example of that. Like verbs that are only plural, we probably have some hits for that. Yeah, I said verbs. You tried. Yeah, I'm going to say that English clearly does not have that. So, you know what? I'm going to stop the stream in just a bit. And first I'm going to explain what I'm going to do for next time. I would think a general can war alone. I thought it would be cool if we had that modality thing where you can distinguish. Oh, yeah, evidentiality. Yeah, we can have that, I'm going to make a note of something. Verbal phrase. I'm going to put it modality. I'm going to put it separate. Yeah. I put it just there for now. Yeah, I mean, it cannot be my connection because I'm on the gigabyte connection, so I think it's just Twitch rate limiting me because I'm not a very big streamer. Anyway, what I'm going to do is stop the stream in a few minutes, but before that I'm going to explain my plan for the next stream and everything. So the next stream would be next Saturday at 16 UTC, 1600 UTC. And what I think I'm going to do, because this stream was very much slower than the others. We mostly threw around ideas about what to include without really achieving anything on how to include it. So I'm going to work on my own on just what we decided, which is what I've notated as titles here. And no, that's fine. So just the verbal phrase stuff. I'm going to work on that. And I'm going to present it on Saturday. So we can actually start to make sentence and everything. That we have more content. What do you say? I'm not sure if I really have a lot of delay or if no one is answering. The question was, what do you think of that? Basically, the next stream would be on Saturday, next Saturday, the 21st, I think. Is it the 21st? Yeah, 21st. No worries. Next stream is on Saturday, the 21st, at 1600 UTC. And before that, I would be working on just what we have decided here as titles. Oh, that's too bad, Terax. And I'll just be working on that and have the document ready for Saturday. So we can have something more to work on and start actually making sentences. Because this stream was pretty slow. Well, you'll suck. I mean, I could just displace it to, like, Sunday. Is Sunday better? Whenever, okay. And for me, weekends are my weakness. No, they are specifically not your weakness. Yeah, that's probably better. Alright, so I think it's going to be Saturday anyway, because I'm not even sure I can make it on Sunday. Alright, then Saturday it is still. Yeah, I couldn't on Sunday anyway. Alright, I'm going to leave you then. I'll upload the video on probably tomorrow, and the document too. Though I'll probably work on it a bit before I actually publish it. Or I'll do 2 versions. I'll see you tomorrow. Anyway, thank you for being with me for these 2 hours. Have a good one.